Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. It is said that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the Rosson Audio RAD-0 is artistic eye candy for all. There are some things in life that just slow down time, and everyone just stares intently when it enters the room. The Rosson RAD-0 is one of those. There is no doubt that the RAD-0 is a gorgeous headphone. I do not own a more attractive headphone. The Rosson Audio Design RAD-0 is tuned to be a studio reference monitor. Is the Rosson RAD-0 the most beautiful musical studio reference planar? A little bit about Alex Rosson. Alex has spent his entire life in the sound business. As a musician and an engineer, Alex grew up immersed in audio and film production at many of the most notable studios across Los Angeles. Alex worked for nearly a decade as one of Technicolor's mastering engineers before venturing into entrepreneurship and becoming the co-founder and CEO of Audiophile. Rosson Audio Design distills a lifetime's worth of work in the listening business with a mission to providing unique experiences that bridge exquisite audio with unique designs. Each product in Alex's portfolio has helped set the stage for the RAD-0 and all of Rosson Audio Design products to come. That is a quote from RossonAudioDesign.com. Just a little bit about Alex Rosson. Now, what do I consider to be a reference? I believe that a reference headphone should be one that is about as flat neutral as possible without losing details and extension. A reference headphone should not add in flavoring or coloring to the sound that isn't natural or realistic. What do I consider to be musical? A musical headphone to me is one that sounds natural and realistic without being bloated or excessive in any of the frequencies. A musical headphone should be an accurate portrayal of the music in the real world that is enjoyable and detailed. What do I consider to be neutral? Neutral to me is not ruler flat, but it has natural and realistic rises in the frequencies. A neutral headphone portrays correct and accurate tones that aren't boosted, elevated, or colored from the natural tone. And then what do I consider to be natural? Natural is realistic and accurate to everyday tones. A natural headphone presents a sonic bliss that is neutral from sonic alterations with natural, detailed realism and musical tone and timbre and accuracy. Just a quick disclaimer. I purchased the Rosson Audio Design RAD-0 with my own funds. I have not been paid, pressured, or otherwise influenced to spin this review one way or the other. All thoughts and opinions are my own. I have to mention though that Alex Rosson did upgrade my order from the B stock headphone I had chosen to a new stock headphone for no extra charge. Alex Rosson surprised me with the color design, and I had no clue as to what to expect. I didn't ask for the upgrade, and that was all from the graciousness of Alex's heart. Alex Rosson is a very kind, thoughtful man who went way above and beyond to share his kindness with me, and I am truly grateful and amazed that he did what he did for me. I did offer to pay the differences between the B stock and the new price difference, and he declined to allow me to do that. He said that I could just keep it for what I paid for it. Alex Rosson, you are too kind. You are an amazing guy, and I do greatly, truly appreciate your kindness. It means a whole lot to me. Some specs about the Rosson RAD-0. It's an over-ear open-back circumferential design. As a 66mm planar magnetic, the frequency response is 20 Hz to beyond audible range, and I find that to be very truthful. Impedance is 29 ohms. Sensitivity is 95 decibels. They weigh anywhere between about 550 to 615 grams, depending on the materials and the finish. The unboxing of the Rosson Audio Design RAD-0 starts off with a box inside a box, and then the outer box has a Rosson logo stamped all over on each side, differing colors. It was a nice touch. I really did enjoy the look of the box. Normally, the box just shows up, it's just a box. The inside box is just a normal old cardboard box, and I kind of miss those colorful logos. After undoing the tape, you slide out what is a very hefty Pelican case. I must say, this thing is incredible. Very well built. It's got locking latches. And on the inside, you're greeted with a ton of foam with the cutouts. This thing is just a beast. I really do enjoy the Pelican case. I'm very thankful for it. Protects the headphones very well. Inside, you're greeted with a cable, cleaning cloth, user manual, logo stickers, QR code for registration, and a certificate of authenticity. Overall, I find that the unboxing experience is pleasing and the accessories included to be just what you need. There will be a video in the description if you want that shows me unboxing the RAD-0. When Alex reached out to me about an upgrade, he mentioned that he had a design picked for me, but he wouldn't tell me what it was. I love surprises, so I was anxious to see what he sent over. I have to say, Alex knows me way too well, and that's super impressive considering that we never communicated until the surprise email about the upgrade. So this color scheme is perfect for me with the blue and the black, and I don't know how he did it, but wow. Thank you, Alex Rosson. It's a fantastic job, and somehow you know me even though we're thousands of miles apart. This is crazy. And then on top of that, just as a side note, I did buy the head amp GSX Mini with the blue, and you can see it here in the background. And they came on the same day, and the pictures are, you would think I planned it, but I did not. This is all Alex. Fantastic job. And you somehow figured out that I was getting a blue amplifier to go with it. The RAD-0 is all handmade in the USA from headband housings and transducers. The headband is spring steel. It is covered with a leatherish type of material. Headband is slightly curved and has a very large leather pad here in the middle. The yokes, arms, rods, and sliders are all made of metal. The pads are a really thick hybrid, and on the inside here you can see that we have fabric that goes up against your face, and then the rest is leather, including inside the cups. Nice angle to them. The stock cable is all right. It's 2 meters long, and you do have 3.5 connectors. And goes to a 1/4 inch. It's a fabric. It's not bad. It's not great. It's nothing super special, but it works. I enjoy the cable. It's a little bit on the stiff side, but it's not too bad. I also did happen to purchase a Corpse Audio cable for the RAD-0, and that defaults into an XLR, and that's an all rubber design. If you are going to purchase cables, do bear in mind that you need to have a real skinny and long entry for it to fit the RAD-0, and also that you need to get certain pin outs. So make sure that you buy specific cables that are made for the RAD-0. Rosson Audio can pretty much make any custom design that you want. So if you're looking for one to be exactly like the blue that I have here, you will not be able to get one just like it, as each one is unique to their own as they are handmade. You'll be able to get one similar in color, but you will not be able to get one that looks identical. But you can get one pretty much in anything that you want with any materials that you want put inside it. If you want if you want wood or metal chips or shavings or jewels of any kind, something like that, probably more than likely Rosson can fit those in there for you. There is a uniqueness to these cups, and I just think that they're just gorgeous. There's depths and valleys to the look, and seeing them in person is just craziness. The camera just does not catch the gorgeousness of this, and the deepness of the colors. It is just crazy how beautiful they are. I just can't stop looking at them. The RAD-0 fits me very well, but that might not be the case for everyone. The ear pads are the perfect size. They envelop my ears with just enough room to spare without touching any parts of my ears. The headband disperses the weight evenly. It removes any worries about the RAD-0 slipping and falling off my head. The intense clamp force has lessened over time, but there remains a comforting amount of clamp to hold the RAD-0 in place without being a vice grip on my head. The weight is the most of any headphone that I've owned, and it does take some time for me to get used to it, especially if I haven't worn the RAD-0 for a little bit and I have something really light on. It takes a moment or two for me to adjust. But I find that the Rosson has done a good job of balancing and dispersing the weight. The RAD-0 is not a cinder block on your head, but it also isn't a down feather pillow either. It's somewhere in between. Yes, they are huge, but they are just absolutely gorgeous, and they just fit on my head perfectly. I have no worries about them falling off. You can adjust the clamp force a little bit by playing around with the headband just a little bit. So let's get on to the most important part, sound impressions. This is the area of the review that I really struggled the most with. Personal bias, subjectivity, and attempting to be as objective as possible were almost impossible. The Rosson RAD-0 is the hardest headphone I have reviewed because it brings out my personal bias and subjectivity in full force into the forefront. It's very much makes me subjective. So I'm just going to be very honest and outright about that. Also, I am not a professional sound producer or engineer, but I do run my Allen & Heath QU24 soundboard at my church each week. I don't have any studio experience or training for professional settings, so the sound impressions are based on my limited usage and whether or not they fill my needs. The Rosson RAD-0 has a linear bass that extends deep into the sub-bass regions. The RAD-0 adds in natural and accurate note weight and density, along with authority and control, slam, and thumps. There's a sensation of reality with the Rosson RAD-0 that I have not heard in a headphone before. The RAD-0 bass portrays meekness in that it's power under control. The bass is an authoritative presence that is calm and collected and never loses control of the moment, no matter the stress level. The extension is far and wide. The depth and layer is just mind-blowing. Speed and agility is ridiculously spectacular. It's like Sebastian Vettel carving his Aston Martin's Mercedes through an F1 track. It is just that finesse and that quick and agile. The RAD-0 has an impacting power and a percussive slam that lets you feel the moment and the enjoyment, all the while remaining an analytical, critical listening headphone. Details are all present and resolved with impeccable effectiveness. The mids of the Rosson RAD-0 are balanced, cohesive, and natural. The RAD-0 portrays mids with clarity and accurate tonality. There is a natural warmth without coloring the overall sonics. The RAD-0 put you with the action. They allow you to dissect each instrument and vocalist, critiquing each breath, each strum, each touch, each tap, each movement. They do it with ease. The notes have realistic body and weight to them, and they are very full and just natural. The RAD-0 reveals each detail, displaying it in a respectful and polite approach with precision and accuracy. The RAD-0 is not forceful or aggressive in its presentation. Instead, it allows the music to dictate the force and aggression, and it reveals it accurately and flawlessly. There is so much detailed information available, and the Rosson RAD-0 resolves it with ease and precision. The RAD-0 never goes into fatiguing or intense unless the track includes it. There is a natural and realistic approach to the treble that it just reveals natural sibilance, harshness, grit, and bite. There is a crispness, a airiness, a sparkle, energy, and control. The sensation of realism is just jaw-dropping when it comes to the treble of the Rosson RAD-0. The Rosson treks along the line of just enough and not enough, but it doesn't waver off it. It always stays right on that line. The RAD-0 is direct and precise with the treble without being overly forceful and intimidating. The details whiz in from all around you with precision and accuracy. The definition and refinement of the details is impeccable. The attack and decay is natural and realistic. The Rosson RAD-0 treble is perfection to my ears. I love treble, and I am a treble head, but I love a controlled treble, and you get that with the Rosson RAD-0. The Rosson RAD-0 presents with natural and realistic width and depth, allowing the studio sound engineers to determine where instruments and vocalists are presented without having to lift their head. Imaging is precise and direct with the RAD-0. The Rosson just portrays the music exactly how the studio heard it live. When it comes to sound stages, you can get too wide, too deep, and they lose naturalism. The RAD-0 has the proper balance. Everything sounds realistically placed and spaced. Nothing feels awkward or misplaced. You know what you're seeing on stage or in the studio is what you are hearing in your ears. One other thing of note is the crossfeed capabilities of the Rosson RAD-0. When something is on the right side, the left side has a little subtle amount of it, and vice versa. Unlike a lot of other headphones that are imaginative venues of live experience, the Rosson RAD-0 has you at the mixing controls, putting the finishing touches on a recording masterpiece. The Rosson RAD-0 to me has the most natural and realistic tone and timbre that I've ever heard in a headphone. The tone and timbre of the RAD-0 makes it effortless to determine and follow instruments through a track. The Rosson RAD-0 portrays vocals and instrument distinctness and characteristics accurately in a natural and realistic manner. The Rosson RAD-0 have a perfect balance of note weight and density with tone and timbre. That is the best I have ever heard on a headphone. With the Rosson RAD-0, there is a proper amount of details retrieved without being excessive or limiting. The amount of details retrieved and revealed is a fine line to walk. Excessive boosting of mic gain brings in a false impression of detail retrieval, but it isn't natural. There is an overabundance of information that is provided by some headphones that is helpful in the studio, but isn't portraying the natural, realistic amount of details. With the RAD-0, there is an accurate and appropriate amount of details presented without being overwhelming. The revealing nature of the RAD-0 does come with a caveat, though. Poorly recorded tracks. If you're looking for a revealing headphone to help you sort your audio library by recording quality, then look no further than the Rosson RAD-0. Resolution of all those details is phenomenal on the RAD-0. Crazy good resolution. There is no detail left behind, and every one of them is presented in its best form. The Rosson RAD-0 is insanely good with detail retrieval and resolution. How about some gear pairings? The pairing that took up most of my listening time was the Mytek Liberty and the Headamp GSX Mini, as they are my benchmarks for reviews along with being my personal everyday listening setup. Whether it was the single-ended headphone output on the Liberty DAC or the GSX Mini being fed by the Liberty DAC, the Rosson RAD-0 sound insanely good. The Liberty DAC had plenty of power for the RAD-0 and there more than enough headroom was left, never got close to max volumes. I'm not going into details about the sound as I just described them all above. All of the sound descriptions are from the Mytek Liberty and GSX Mini. But this is a pairing made for each other, and I am so blessed to own both of them. It is perfection to my ears. The Mytek Liberty, the GSX Mini, and the RAD-0 are just awesome to hear. I highly recommend that pairing. Pairing the Bifrost 2 from Shit Audio and the GSX Mini with the RAD-0 is another pairing that is made for each other. Take all that is mentioned in the sound impressions above and then add a kiss of warmth and a little bit more immersive staging, but a slight lag behind in detail retrieval and natural air, and you've got the Bifrost 2 with the RAD. I love this pairing as well, but it gives way to the Mytek Liberty by the slightest of margins in detail retrieval, resolution, tone, and timbre. I do not use headphones often with my Sony MW1A, but I thought I would give this pairing a try because of the low impedance, and I'm so glad I did. I used a 4.4mm balanced output on high gain, and the experience is nothing like that I've ever heard from a portable setup. There's plenty of power to make the RAD-0 sing from the hilltops. All the sonics experienced from the desktop setup are mostly present. Not much is lacking. For a weekend trip or a work week hotel stay or a work week in a cubicle, this pairing will suffice. Not only will you have a spectacular sound, but you will also have the prettiest portable setup and the most gorgeous headphone. If you have a WM1A and are seeking an open back headphone to pair with it, then look no further than the Rosson RAD-0. Comparisons. Now, I compared this to two headphones, and that was the Ether C from Mr. Speakers and the Meze Empyrean. The Mr. Speakers Ether C has less note density and weight and less note weight than the RAD-0. The Mr. Speakers Ether C has a slightly more detailed retrieval and better resolution, but it is not the most natural and realistic portrayal. The Ether C lacks in bass slam and thump, but excels in extension. The Ether C mids are more dominant and expressive, all the while maintaining cohesion. The Ether Cs come out holding nothing back. There is grit and an edge in the treble. The Ether Cs are not at a disadvantage because they are closed back when it comes to the soundstage. They do very well. Now, they're not as wide as the RAD-0, but they compete very much with depth layering. The Meze Empyrean, the tone is excellent, but the timbre is less defined than it is here on the RAD-0. The Empyrean at times struggles to differentiate between instruments and to show fine intricacies of the instruments. The Meze Empyrean lags behind slightly with detail retrieval and resolution. The Meze portrays a more accurate and realistic portion of the details for listening consumption, but not enough for the studio. The Meze Empyrean has an elevated bass line along with extra note weight and density. And the Empyrean has moderate extension, but isn't as defined as the RAD-0. The mids of the Meze Empyrean are a warm breeze of naturalism. The Meze envelops the listener with emotion. The Meze Empyrean treble is lush and airy with soft and smooth edges of enjoyment. But the Empyrean glosses over the sibilance and harshness of treble for a more forgiving and enjoyable listen. The Meze Empyrean presentation is all about engagement and enjoyment. I have been blessed to have had the opportunity to hear many headphones over the years in all sorts of price points, designs, and driver types. I am blessed to own 3 spectacular headphones and to use them on a daily basis: the Rosson RAD-0, the Meze Empyrean, and the Mr. Speaker's Ether C. All of them play a vital part in my review process. I absolutely love all 3, and I highly recommend each one of them. I use the Mr. Speaker's Ether C to verify tone and timbre, detail retrieval and resolution, and soundstage, imaging, depth, layering, and naturalism. The Mr. Speaker's Ether C are my benchmark for how a closed-back headphone should sound. I use the Rosson RAD-0 to verify tone, timbre, detail retrieval, resolution, imaging, depth, layering, and naturalism. The Rosson RAD-0 are my benchmark for how an open-back headphone portrays a natural, accurate, real-life experience. And then I use the Meze Empyrean to verify tone and timbre, soundstage, imaging, depth, layering, and naturalism. The Meze Empyrean is my benchmark for how an open-back headphone portrays an engaging, realistic experience. For those moments of relaxing and just being immersed with the music, I grab the Meze Empyrean. For those critical listening moments and comparing to the minutest of degrees, I grab the Mr. Speaker's Ether C. And for those times of relaxing, immersion, critiquing to the smallest of slivers, I reach for the Rosson RAD-0. I actually reach for the Rosson RAD-0 the most. I prefer the RAD-0 over the others because it is more refined and defined, and it's better implemented. Now, don't get me wrong. The Ether C and the Empyrean are no slouches. They just aren't as finished as the RAD-0. The Rosson RAD-0 pairs with my ears the best of anything I've ever heard and owned. Everything that I seek as an audiophile is on full display with the Rosson RAD-0. The Rosson RAD-0, in my opinion, would excel at a studio. And so I asked Alex Rosson directly, do you use your Rosson Audio Design RAD-0 in your own studios? And he said, yes. I completely understand. Alex Rosson, thank you for your kindness and for the beautiful headphone. I truly love them, and they are amazing. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you, for whatever reason, did not enjoy this video, don't agree with it, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you'll be made known of when another video is up from the Honest Audiophile. And again, the Rosson RAD-0. One final look at just the beauty of them. Thank you, Alex Rosson, for the most gorgeous headphones that I've ever seen or heard.